The following You and the Law program is provided as a public service of the Chicago Bar Association. The statements made and views expressed in this program are those of the participants. The participants' views do not necessarily reflect the views of the Chicago Bar Association. This program is for informational purposes only. It does not provide legal advice.
Welcome. My name is Henderson. I'm the president of the 22,000-member Chicago Bar Association, and welcome to the next edition of You and the Law. On our show, we get to talk to some of the leading judges and lawyers in the city of Chicago, and our guest for this show is Eugene Pincham. Judge Pincham is a former member of the Illinois Appellate Court, former circuit court judge, and also a former candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago, as well as a candidate for state's attorney and other offices as well. Judge Pincham, welcome.
Thank you for having me. Glad to be here.
Now, in town, you're known as Eugene Pincham, and I don't think any of us know what the R stands for. So if you don't mind telling us, but what's the R stand for, and how did you become to be known as Eugene Pincham?
Where I was reared, calling a person by his common name was a matter of disrespect to that person. And Robert was always Bob. My mother told me, don't tell him your name is Robert, tell him it's Eugene, Eugene. And from the time I graduated from high school, it's been Eugene Pincham.
Now, you were born and raised in Alabama.
I was born in Chicago. Okay. But I was reared in Limestone County, Athens, Alabama.
Okay, and tell us about Limestone.
Limestone County?
Yep.
Well, it's north of the Tennessee River. The southern boundary of the county is the Tennessee River. The northern boundary of the county is the Alabama-Tennessee state line. I often say the dirt is so poor it won't grow weeds. We grew up during the impoverished period of the Great Depression. It's a cotton-growing country. We were extremely impoverished. We were not, I shouldn't say that, we were not impoverished. We were not impecunious. We were not indigent. We were not economically deprived. We was poor, P-O-Po. P-O-Po, yeah.
Now, and was that part of Alabama obviously segregated during the time period when you were growing up?
Of course it was. As a matter of fact, one of the landmark cases in the United States Supreme Court was tried in Morgan County, which is immediately south of Limestone County, the infamous Scottsboro case, in which the United States Supreme Court held for the first time that in a capital case, the state must appoint competent, dedicated, efficient counsel to represent the accused.
Now that's the Scottsboro boys, the 9 of them.
That's right.
How far away from your hometown was that case?
Right across the river, 3 miles from where I was reared.
What happened in your life, and I know you were born in 25, and so in the 20s and the 30s that a po' boy from Alabama wound up going to high school and then on to college to become a lawyer. What was happening in your life that pointed you in that direction?
Well, you have to know a little bit about Limestone County. In the county in which I was reared, there was no public schools for blacks above the 3rd grade, number one. Number two, the school that I attended beginning in 1929, when I was 4 years of age, the school was founded in 1866 by missionaries who came south after the Civil War ended to aid and assist the newly emancipated slaves to become educated and to become assimilated into society. The organization was called the American Missionary Association, which founded such prestigious black schools in the South as Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, Lemoyne College in Memphis, Tennessee, Tougaloo College in Tougaloo, Mississippi, Talladega College in Talladega, Alabama, Berea College in Berea, Kentucky, and Dillard University in New Orleans, Louisiana. And they founded many, many high schools and grammar schools throughout the South.
A lot of the normal schools.
That is correct.
Right.
You must realize that when the Civil War ended, there was no education, public schools for blacks. And this school was founded in 1866 by missionaries. In fact, the school was built on property which was a fort built by Yankee soldiers.
Now, these are white folks who are coming from the north
That's
down
correct.
to the south.
That's correct. White missionaries, Presbyterians, Congregationalists, Methodists.
So besides your mom, then in many respects, there's white folks from the north who were coming down to the south who were responsible in many ways for setting you on the path that you are on today.
Not in many ways, in the only way. They are the ones that educated us. And I'll fast forward, they culturized us into believing and into knowing and into accepting the position, as they would often state to us, that God gives you life for one purpose, and that is to use your life to make better the lives of others, because that's what they were doing with their lives.
You know, and let me ask you about that. You know, what role does God play in your life, specifically as it relates to being a lawyer and a judge and an activist?
Oh, as I said, I believe with all my heart, soul, and being, with all my fiber of my being, that God gives us life to use it to make better the lives of others. I believe that. I believe that the route to eternity is in using your life to improve the lives of others, to make the world a better place, to help others. These missionaries instilled that principle within us, and I did not realize at the time that it was being instilled so deeply within us as I grew up, but that was their teaching, and that's a part of my being. I believe that.
Speaking of eternity, I know that you lost your wife some years ago. What role did she play in making you the man you are today, specifically as it relates to being a lawyer and a judge?
Well, we went to Tennessee State together. We started dating in September of 1945. We married August the 31st of 1948. She passed April 9th, 2005. She was my supporter. She was my advisor. She was my counselor. She's my co-counsel in every case that I tried. She would often say to me when we would debate an issue with her as to what we should do during the course of a trial, and she'd say to me, "Honey, that won't work." I said, "Yes, it will." She said, "No, it won't." I said, "Well, I'm the one with the law school." She said, "Yes, but I'm the one that's your co-counsel." And she'd ultimately say to me, "How can you convince a jury? You can't convince me and you're sleeping with me every night. How are you going to convince a jury that don't know you?" And that was the admonition. She'd also say this to me, and I give some of my contemporaries this admonition: don't let yourself get in your way.
Which the old folks would say.
Don't let yourself get in your way.
Right.
Don't let your ego
right.
Impair your ability to think rationally.
Right.
Don't let your ego motivate you to do things that are unacceptable. And I followed that philosophy. She's my co-counsel.
You guys met at Tennessee State.
That's right.
And then you wound up going to law school at Northwestern.
That's right.
In the late 40s.
Well, 1948, January, when I enrolled.
How many other black students were at Northwestern when you were there?
There were about 4. I was the only black in my class. Harold Washington was in the semester behind me. I was black in my class. Howard Jeter, who was black, Antoine Joseph, who was black, Glenn Folks, who was black, were in the class ahead of me. And incidentally, only one woman in the whole law school.
Just one woman? One
woman in the whole law school. Her name was Elaine Strausschild.
Now, when you were at Northwestern, you also shined shoes.
Yes.
And
on Van Buren between State and Dearborn on Saturday.
And you worked at the Palmer House.
I was a waiter in the Empire Room in the Palmer House, 5:30 to 1 o'clock in the morning, Monday through Friday.
Tell me what your mindset was like going to law school with some of the children of the most prestigious families, you know, in Chicago and in the nation, and then at other times in that same week, you're shining shoes of the fathers of your classmates.